precursors to the torrent protocol. Napster got in trouble because Napster actually hosted a lot of files.
And then you just teleport it right next to me. Like, whoa, shit.
Oh, they also call them P2P, right? Peer-to-peer.
It's a pastry.
The problem is that the centralized server always hosts like a list of who are the peers that you can go connect to. This is the way torrents work. There's they call it a tracker, and a tracker is a centralized place, and it's just a list of who's connected and who can you go get files from.
Stats.
Nobody can stop.
At least also spawn ads, yeah.
Cool, so that's done.
Yeah, a lot of people got pissed off at Metallica. The reason Metallica spoke up, most artists didn't care. Some artists actually preferred it. If you are an artist, the way that business works is your IP, the music that you're writing, does not belong to you. It belongs to a label. You usually sign with a label, and the label pays you. You have some contract, and you're getting paid no matter what. You're paid for so many songs, or whatever the contract says. And they promote you. When you release music, you get a small percentage of that. The label's taking most of it.
That is a lot of
So
blood for
when you all these takedown notices and all that stuff, that's why artists really usually don't care, because they're not getting a lot of that. They get most of their money in tickets that way.
really should spend
Typically,
that
the way it
extra
works
half
is
second
that
looking
they'll take most of that money.
hide. Oh, something
Metallica was different in that they own their own music.
Alright, that's the 50%.
So that's why they were so vocal on this, because they actually were getting screwed. I don't know.
Must be a thing somewhere.
I don't know what their label was called,
It
but
looks like
anyway, the whole thing. That's why they do that. There's a few other, but most artists don't own their own music.
What is that? Big old radish.
Yeah, chest armor, that's the one.
We have any
just wanna see the
vegetarians? Radishes.
Chest plate.
It would be. It's how entertainment,
Do a lot more for you.
the entertainment industry kind of works. You know how like Disney like owns all kinds of shit now.
Oh, watermelon. That's not bad.
There's usually there's a trade of
Monster
the
was
intellectual
mine.
property goes from one organization to another. It's usually not like the writers or wherever the person creating it usually does not own the stuff. Unless you're George Lucas and you start your own company, and you didn't get any funding or you didn't get investment from these big studio houses, right?
But if you make an exclusive weapon, will that be something for Twitch subs?
Hey Joe, how you doing, man?
Yeah, we already had this debate. The
See you, bud.
What do you mean, Winterlord?
latest Star Wars movies are terrible.
Because personally,
Well, they were bad even from George Lucas, the later ones.
Say this is a chicken.
You go back and watch the old ones, they still aren't good. More of a time. I was much younger when I got into them. Tell you what though, Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie. It is by far the best one.
Modern activities on 2018 CA2 framework, Windows desktop round, core
Hey,
applications.
shop lady, what do you got for me?
Man, it's even worse than scientific journals. You know, it's the same thing. You have to read the contracts. Like, if you're a professor doing research, because you often hear these lawsuits between like professors and universities. Like, look, the university employs you. They employ you to teach courses and to do research. Anything that you find, the university has a claim to it.
Bears beats and Battlestar
So
Galactica.
sometimes you have these people that they make these discoveries, and the university thinks that they're gonna take it for free, and they're like, "What? No, they gotta pay me more." It's like, your contract says they own all the shit you do.
I need to go get some coffee and come back later. Bye. Happy coffee hunting.
Oh, they also spawn.
Yeah,
Worms, double cross.
This is a popular thing that you hear with articles. People are saying they're like, the authors don't see any of that money. I don't think. I think it's very rare for an author to see any money from their publication in a journal. They just get their name credited. They get their what's that score called?
Reinforced leather, whatever that is.
How? Slow. It doesn't really have.
What's that score that
it hits hard.
Thank you very much for the follow.
I forget what it's called.
Oh, no,
the thing that indicates how many, how often your papers get cited.
That's a knife dance. That's right. We're gonna grab.
Right, so when I click that, I get.
That's bleeding. 46 DPS.
So for authors, the incentive is that you increase your whatever that score thing is, right? You get bragging rights.
Yeah, people have too much gold. We're aware of that. Although it's only really becoming a problem with this.
Not the one I wanted to do, but highly effective.
A lot of bullshit papers get published too.
Something's gonna give before people weren't doing it, you know.
There must be like a confirmation page before that, like honestly.
Yeah, the thing is, so people weren't doing it before, so I had to make it cheap. I thought it'd be not, and then, but it's just I think people started playing the game.
Yeah, electronic publications are free, and with software, it's a problem because nobody really cares. Like ACM's like the biggest one. ACM and IEEE are pretty big, but good luck with any journal outside of them. People would much rather just self-publish on their own fucking website.
Twitch has messed up their UI. Yeah, you're probably seeing like a page for like the last.
Peer reviews are free? How's peer reviews free? I don't get how that works.
Secret discovered. Shiny pebble. 100 gold. I'll take it.
Probability function.
I would think that if I'm
going this way,
pretty penny.
You would have to get a cut of it if I'm reviewing.
It's just you, eh?
If I have to review papers,
and a kebab.
I would get compensated.
Nice.
Journals don't pay anything to reviewers. How do they get compensated? If you're a reviewer,
luxury chest armor.
It's not very bright, but at least there aren't any monsters.
Which is pretty low. Like.
They don't.
Because I'm trying to figure.
Well, fuck! I wouldn't even do it then.
Usually, like, really keen on driving.
Do they get their name published anywhere, or do they get any kind of credit for being a reviewer? Like, if you're an author, it makes more sense.
Purchases with subs.
What do we want to reforge? We could make this a plus and give it some.
Those are peers, not employees.
It's like it's monthly. You don't want to lose a streak and all that kind of stuff. So that's probably why people like.
My understanding would have been that peers works for
thinking of other ways to get fame, Coach Carter.
Call them peers, but
we were thinking of you can add gold into the final
the
chest.
journal is the authority that says who is going to review,
Not bounty, but
and the idea is that these are the filters to make sure we don't just publish shit in our journal.
It's a big bounty, but through putting gold.
So I need some experts, I need some peers, other people who want to do the publishing.
Thanks Games channel viewers.
Make sure that, because like I can't read these fucking papers. This is all over my head.
And
let's have Joe do it. Joe knows about
Ote, did you just
whatever the hell this paper's about. Have him read it and give his thoughts.
5 minutes.
I will do a temporary
or maybe
drop shadow.
yeah, this is all bullshit, or this has already been published somewhere else.
Very easy.
Some of the things in this paper don't even make sense.
Oh yeah, I'm doing a pretty bad revenue share.
And
3 minutes 18 seconds.
draw.
I would have thought the biggest problem is that it's just the things are not getting you peer reviewed, and that's how you. Because there's always that joke about the things, you know, the automated paper generator.
Drop shadow.
They have some rank. They have
No,
some
it's
local
just
journals they were able to get into.
The same kingdom you're in. So it's a rare situation. I mean, no one else has ever done it. Census is the Commando. Imaginary monsters. What a pleasure to have you come and raid. Thank you very much. Welcome to the stream. Welcome everyone. I'm gonna pretend I have.
They have to somehow. I don't know how it works. Otherwise, it doesn't make any economic sense.
So
they don't have to get compensated with money. Like in the, like if you're publishing a paper, first of all, you can publish in multiple journals.
So
yesterday
I
started trying to money directly from publishing. You get money from
then the only thing I'm going currently
notoriety.
The whole thing,
And instead,
you know,
I got wrapped up in drawing shitty little
most
icons
of
and
the
writing
things
pointless little
is
item
the
text
Drop attack,
for a
you get stunned at
practice
the bottom.
project. But hey, that's the normal
drop
way I work.
shadow
Really easy kills. They'll kill you first.
Thank you very much. What have you been up to, Imagine?
paint
Hey,
will
Luke. Hey,
create
I didn't
destruction.
die. I'm fine.
Thank
Paint
you for anyone who stuck around. If you wonder what the stream overlay game is, that is something I put together at the start of the year. There's instructions here if you want to know more. If you're looking to get involved,
Why do we do
you will
open source
automatically
software?
be chosen to go into the
Paint.
dungeon
They
at
can
random.
get value from that.
You don't have to do anything special to be put into the dungeon.
paint
There may be quests that occur. You can type ! quest to join a quest when it does pop up on the screen. Other than that, you should
You're
probably join
saying
the
it's just
kingdom.
volunteers
We've been getting
reading these journals. So people,
ready.
it's just volunteers. There's a queue, and they're like, all right, I'll review this paper.
Wow, that's exciting, man. I've never been.
And then they sell the journal, and they don't
Yeah,
see
that's
any of
the
this.
point in the game that where I'm
Like if there's open source software,
spread the good news.
you decide to start selling it,
So good on you, man.
isn't there usually a way to like distribute that either
I
up front
think
and say, look, we're gonna start selling it? Most open source software is not sold, I don't think, or at least supports. I don't know how to support. I don't know how that works.
The more likely you're gonna do.
Even a little different. If the whole journal's free, fine. That would make sense. No one's getting paid. This is all volunteer. Probably the quality of that journal is not too good.
Yeah, no, I'm
it's
starting
paid-
to music. It's time.
okay,
6 minutes pretty far as in the kitchen.
Yeah, I think you should do
between
as well.
areas it stops.
If they're
I
interested
don't
in the
know.
journey, then they get committed to you. You know.
That didn't work.
I will
I
call
think a
it
journal can be a
paint.
little. If the journal has a really tight focus, where you actually basically the journal is like Joe's journal. Like Joe's an expert in this field.
Guilt them into supporting. I mean, no, it's not about that.
I guess there are a lot of journals like
Okay,
that.
so we're
but then
making
you
some,
could say like,
generic
so this is
list
like
of
here's a list of
text.
papers. It's essentially like
We
if
have our
Joe just
royal
had a
map,
website.
the last,
So many
the
things
next
that I
one.
know
It's just a bunch of papers that he likes.
Yeah,
have
it
the
looks
ability
stupid. This
This
one.
should
I'm not sure what to call it. We
Like
might
get
call
through
it
these doors.
first time.
I'm
Java
pretty sure that's a
plate.
thing I'll be able to do at some point.
Yeah, I had
It
to.
looks like a lab coat.
I don't think I even got ACM.
Hello, lady.
I think I could have gotten it, but I didn't ask for it. ACM and IEEE. I don't think I would have used
Maybe
it.
it could be coat
What is
Yeah,
this
I
subscription
found
fee? Is that $30 a year
knowledge.
for each of them?
Just weird things like that.
That works.
No, but it's better to be local.
He went chomp chomp. I didn't even have a chance to move.
I
And he
guess
liked me,
so.
and I died.
And stuff.
Me turn to register.
I love the look of this last time I came to your stream and saw it.
Well, we're gonna have to call it that.
Not that scientifically.
We're gonna leave it on that
I
one.
can't, like, I can't think of it.
In time you're gonna shop to rift the time upwards. Yeah,
Then
between levels of time upwards,
then
at various other points of time
it's
upwards.
Give you an guys an idea if you haven't clicked on the link.
Speaking of overall pauses,
Okay,
Thing
we're
with
gonna call it every day.
look how awesome it is.
Literally, this
Yeah,
works.
he just chomped me twice and I was
Reminded me a lot of
Good
that.
thing
He
pirates.
didn't even have a chance to roll away. I was pressing the roll
The
button.
little
and it
kind of
didn't work.
gargoyle.
This is what
great.
You know, that baddie.
Yes,
I don't know that I condone piracy.
data.
I think you were working on these light things when I came to see you.
Stuff like that.
Oh,
I have these random.
I am
That's an
something
interesting
different.
point
See what
because
the
they're
thing
not
is.
under
So I just-
contract. Like I'm not signing a contract to publish in your fucking
I
journal.
don't-
I
They,
wonder.
you see the same paper published in multiple journals.
Has had
not really a
unique set
strong
of footprints.
I was pressing the roll.
okay.
So it doesn't make a lot of sense
It's
when
probably unaccidental.
anyone can throw up a website.
Well, would it
For
be?
me, I'm learning web dev recently, so
Would it be somewhere like?
I haven't done any
Is
games.
it somewhere modern, like
It's just to make sure that I don't forget.
Grand Central Station in New York, or like Shibuya Crossing in
just to get
Japan,
back
or
into
you
it.
talking like ancient Rome or whatever?
If you work for
Well,
an
it'd be
organization,
interesting.
you might have a contract.
This is the first
Oh.
person that I ever watched stream this
Really?
game.
How often does that
Apparently the first
happen?
person to ever stream this
I
game.
think if I
and
were
a huge
to,
fan of this game.
This is
And
cool.
he's running Twitch
I think
integration.
it depends on the
Last
organization.
time I did a little mashup
Spawn, they
of
crowd each other out.
it was the theme was to combine
Looking at my
two
list, I've got Hippies playing it, Outcast playing it,
So I-
Retro's
I
playing
took
it.
Probably an entire paper you could
retro,
write.
So I've got 3 people
Yeah.
playing it. I'm sure there's heaps more out there. But we're gonna go see Hippie.
Just interesting.
Because Hippie's great.
I can see that.
They work
boring
really, really well
chemistry
together.
class. I would be like,
Yeah, he's playing with Twitch integration, so we can.
Yeah, if it's just in an honest
game.
adventure, okay, then that should be
If you happen to be
good.
the bird, you can just type a whole bunch of stuff and block his view.
But yeah,
Which is what people would
so
do.
you know, if this is really early, look out
the ones that react when they get in touch with
maybe
water.
it's the content.
He was playing the
like
other day.
strong
Yeah, I think it's because it just came out. The
France
actual
is like
release happened, so
barely
everyone is getting
exists.
right into it.
I don't think it exists outside of lab settings because it's so reactive.
Cool.
And I'd be like,
There's one.
I wonder what
I
would
don't even know
happen
what
if
that is.
this
I'm a-
Telegram
I
with France
assume
in
Fuck it,
it.
we're just doing
You're
dead cells
aware
this
of
week.
Demon
We're gonna
Crest?
play this again tomorrow.
For no
Imaginary
reason.
Monster?
Just because I was
Because it's so much fun.
This actually, this.
And I
makes
gotta
it
get
a bit
back
like
into,
Ghouls and Ghosts though.
Back into bot programming tomorrow. Pretty hardcore to make sure that
This
it
whole
doesn't
scheme
crash
works because it works.
when
Nice.
people
Yeah,
start.
yeah,
Everyone
yeah,
except
yeah,
journals
yeah.
want to change it.
I think that's
Nobody
important
can.
as well.
I would
Unless
say
you've got
it works
crazy
because the thing is,
never seen
gameplay
gameplay mechanics. You need to
Ah.
you need money to fund research,
Researching
and that money comes
Okay,
with
that
strings
makes
attached.
mechanics and
So
development.
if we had universal income
weapons do we want to
and
use?
people could just research whatever the fuck they wanted,
Yeah, yeah.
Great.
you wouldn't have a lot of this stuff. The rules would be different, right? If someone tried to like own your ideas,
Perfect.
Actually, a lot of those, dude.
like that wouldn't make any sense anymore, right? It's like, well, I don't need your funding.
It's by
Yeah,
I don't need. I'm not beholden to any. I'm not under contract with you. I don't have to do. I can publish whatever I want and share this information any way I
And then
want.
I finished it, and then I was like, I want to do it again.
But today, that's not how it
gotta
works.
get
It's like,
to
well,
the
I
end.
pay you a salary.
Because the whole
Bus
thing
And I
is
own all the IP that you do, and it's expected that you're going to write so many papers a year. And by the way, I made some deals. We're going to be publishing in these journals.
Yes, that is a big one. I wonder if we could send them that suggestion of just having a random option where it would just pick one from any of
It
them.
seems okay to
Leia
me.
memory.
I mean, that's just part of your employment agreement.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. It's been fun. As always, we're gonna see Hippie. He's a great
You
guy.
can still randomize
Hopefully we'll
it.
see you over next
If
chat.
it's so the thing is, if it's government research,
Cool, thank you for sharing.
if you're employed by tax dollars, that's where it gets.
Whenever that is, wherever that is.
There should
Until
be
then,
fewer strings attached. Either it's like, hey, you don't get a publish. It's like you can't publish this.
and this won't work. Yeah.
Or it'd probably be more like
easier to kill to avoid OP.
you're probably allowed to publish it anywhere. And you just have to say what grant
Aware of this code.
you're working with.
You can't summon them.
They probably just have some stipulation that says you have to credit them with the grant that you receive.
With a bolt,
By an
that
urge?
kind of, it's a shadow bolt.
I don't know. I've never had to do
Their
that.
soul, I think. So when they get tagged with that, whenever they die, they come back as a skeleton. So if you manage to
Java,
get that onto a
I'm
turret
insulting
or
you.
a totem, you can affect a lot of enemies very cheaply. So if you have,
It would be very
let's say,
strange if you received a grant and it had stipulations on where you're allowed to publish.
Shadow totem.
It
with
probably
the
would
dead
say that
kind
you
of
have to
thing.
credit the grant though. That you would have to say this thing was funded
So
under
they have to be nerfed pretty heavily.
whatever article number goes with it.
The actual familiars, like the flying dudes,
There you
for
are.
instance, are going to be stronger
Dear Java.
because they cost spells individually, each casting. But they're still going to be pretty weak, I think, because there's no way to get around it. It's better that they're too weak than too strong, and the line is pretty thin, I think.
Okay, so
So I'm
say
gonna do.
9,
I'm just gonna do a totem.
and then we'll make
Like
another.
shadow because it looks cool as heck. And I'm gonna hit it
Turn.
with the summon spell. So now this totem is it?
Mm.
Yeah, Smurf find their way into most games. Games like Overwatch is even worse.
That was
'cause
summon. Oh,
it's
I don't know why that
expensive.
didn't work. Yeah, I can't have the repeat
Although
of it
I'd
being
also
too
say
expensive / difficult to make.
that
Yeah, exactly.
Overwatch is
And
one
I
of
didn't
those
want it
games
to be
where
like,
an
passive
individual
generally, it costs
skill
like 500
has
HP
less
or
of an
whatever,
impact
and
on
then-
the
No.
game
Because if
outcome.
the AI,
It obviously
unless
can
the
if you have a
AI
really
is pretty
good like
crap. If
tracer,
the AI gets stuck doing something
McCree,
stupid, you're going to be pretty pissed.
soldier
If
to
the-
some
but
extent,
if
or
the
Hanzo.
cost of them
They
is
can
pretty
ch-
low and they're pretty
swing games.
weak to begin with,
Um,
I'm not going to complain that much.
or good
It's not a
Lucios
great
and things like that.
solution.
However,
Yes.
compared to
I think a
big
lot
games
of
like
people
Counter-Strike,
have.
where
That's
you
a
get lot
shared
more. If you got
sentiment.
one goes really good, you'll just
Before
one on
Yeah,
one
if we
everyone.
can get this
There's a
guy-
number
Trent.
of things
Now this
that
guy-
are
Okay.
government
he's
funded
both
Apollo,
are
quickly
good
Quit.
they end up not being open source.
And I won't see you.
You're calling.
There's some initiatives
Wobbly.
to change that.
Wobbly of Trouts. How you doing, bud?
One of the problems is that it does cost money to kind of. It's much easier to just classify a project
Oh dear.
rather than comb through, because sometimes things have pieces of information in
So
them that are
Java,
classified.
I added the coat. This,
It's easier for them to
this-
just say the
this
whole
shitty
project's
bit of chess
classified,
piece that looks like a lab coat.
rather than
So it's now
saying,
known as
well,
the
actually,
coat
this
of
one
unfounded
component
knowledge.
doesn't have anything. It doesn't have any
We're
sensitive
this coat is
information in it. It's
overwhelmed
just a
by
piece
knowledge
of
to prove their own
plumbing or whatever it
intelligence.
is that could be useful for other projects, but
There we go.
I think it just costs too much.
It's not a plugin. I made it myself.
I also
Hey,
get the
Joe,
feeling
Hagrid.
that
At the very least, this
Hi,
will
hi,
distract
hi.
enemies.
I made it in
people
Unity,
really
and
don't
it
want the
uses,
government funding
a
software
library
projects
to
at
help
all,
me collect a Twitch called
because
Twitch
software projects are really expensive. So the idea is like you should be funding
It's a
research,
Nope.
and if it's promising,
lab
it
coat,
should
mate.
transition to the
Good
private
thing we fixed
sector.
that is you have to do the
The
imagining.
public sector should
Not
not be
seeing
funding giant
the
ass
top
software
construction.
development
Okay,
and
and then the
software
final
efforts
thing
Against
was
the
because
Mithril.
Maybe.
I need to pop out for a bit.
it's
I'm
really
streaming
expensive and they
for
don't.
a good wee while
You're not
yet.
gonna sell
Well
stuff.
over an hour.
It's not typically how it works. It's like we don't. We're not building a product to go sell things. It's usually this is an R&D project.
Yeah, let's just try the other two enemy or minion types.
Bam, bam, bam,
Well, actually, we need
yeah,
to
The
I got it.
contract usually
I got
states
it.
like we
This
don't
when
pay.
So
We don't pay
Mithril,
again for this thing. If there's
wait,
another government agency that wants to license this software, we just
and
get
it's
it.
worth a lot, 'cause this is
There's no
gonna be
double
high
dipping.
Value.
So you were contracted to build the first piece of software, and so we get
What's
full use from here on
that
out.
say here?
Probably some stipulations on which
Like
agencies get
underwhelming's
to
the
use
wrong
it.
word,
and
but I'm
stuff,
trying
but-
to understated. Oh yeah, it's understated. Okay, chest armor provides unrivaled. Oh, it's not double N unrivaled, is it? That's like rivaled.
He wasn't. That's good fun.
Le Google,
So
help
that does
me.
that, and then when he dies,
Alright, so reading the
Two
packet,
L's.
it'll just put it into a.
Oh, hang on.
Free packet in the buffer. Now the only thing that's going to be a problem is the first packet that we send,
We will go for the Doppel L.
because we're just relying on the fact that we're emulating a connection.
It's understated.
You know, efforts like that tend to get more traction because it's a problem that contractors have in general. They're like, yeah, it'd be great if I knew about
I'm
that
spending like 3 hours
idea,
making this.
but there's a bunch of paywalls, and you guys won't pay. Like, you guys don't like paying for my subscription to all these journals.
We don't have to.
Not bad.
I think that information kind of percolates up to the top. They're like, yeah, none of this shit should be paywalled.
Create a client for it.
Why are people paying for this? If it ain't classified, shouldn't it just get published somewhere? Does it matter where it goes?
It's gonna send an acknowledgement packet. But if that packet were to drop,
Can
then we've
confirm,
already
Doofus
made the
says, "Thank you,
connection
coach."
on the
okay, I
client.
know
anyone
why.
was
I think it's a commonly held sentiment. Like a lot of people agree. They're like, well, if it's tax dollars and it's not sensitive data, it should just go public.
Okay, so these can we get some names for cloaks, please? Which will have the stats that we have in this test environment.
But
Max
there's a
health,
whole bureaucratic
strength,
process
speed,
and all that crap.
dodge,
So.
and luck. So these capes are going to be different coloured capes.
Well, I think I owe
that
it to
provide
myself and everyone to
a
try and break
stat.
this. So
Or like a movement speed thing, I guess you could do as well.
Fuck.
holy hell.
I guess that's what speed is.
Then we don't
The skeletons are doubling
So,
every time I
the
enter a new area. And it's
Alright,
hilarious.
Doorless.
Let's
Back
go
when me and
somewhere
Jody's
there's
Warcraft,
space.
we both rolled new
Like
touring characters, and we had such a blast
Black Tower,
playing the
maybe?
game, not like you're trying to be good at it,
Green
not
Swamp.
doing it so we max level and utilize the characters, but just
they're addressed.
dicking around,
Holy
jumping
crap,
team speak
is
for
that
like 2
crashed now?
hours, go and do some
It's
quests,
not crashed either.
fake RP and insult the innkeepers
So-
if they were.
That is
I think
amazing.
our characters were role playing
Let's,
sexist,
Here
weren't
we
they?
go. I'm gonna start doing it. I'm trying to explain what I'm doing before I'm doing it. I might as well.
Let's
just
have a
talk
look,
about it.
Press,
Chat
presses.
anyway.
pushing the engine to the limit.
Alright.
Well, yeah, I figure I'm just
Sweet.
gonna go until it crashes. Why not?
Sweet, I'd
Wizard
highly
Dimensions
recommend.
gonna look bloody weird.
One, this is
Yeah,
cool.
it's
As a helmet, I assume
it's
this is like.
crashing. It's not.
I assume-
Doesn't like this at all.
I should wait until you answer before I say.
Alright.
Holy shit.
If so, what I'd recommend
It's
is doing some
technically
shading
running.
inside here.
I mean, this
Is this like a white
technically
helmet
running.
thing,
not well, but
or not?
So what's your point,
Maliz,
man?
I didn't wait for you.
I only wait Palace.
Howdy doodles.
this
You don't
must
know
be
what it
running.
is.
Yeah.
Silver,
it's
yeah,
going now.
the color. Don't get me wrong with the
Running
color. I
computer
don't care
right.
about.
Abort! Abort!
With respect, the color's not too important right here. My point is, if this is meant to be inside,
This isn't good anymore.
this is meant to be a
This isn't
cutout
good.
in the
It's
armor,
not fun anymore.
and then this is inside,
Let
you
me
need to give
out.
some
I want to get
depth
off Mr.
perception
Skeleton's
here.
wild ride.
No,
or
this
whatever
isn't
it's
just
called.
some grey paint put on the front, but it's a hole. And it might be worth using the darker tones you used
Good.
on this on the inside as well.
Okay, so
Or
we've
at
got a
least
little
to make
problem
these
here.
corners less harsh.
So when it loads
You use a
itself,
slightly
it adds
darker
one. When
shade
it
of this,
dies, it reduces by
or if
one.
you use some of your shading of the metal,
Alright,
you can
motherfucker's
make these
talking
look
back
less
9, 10,
harsh and like jagged.
50 minutes ago. I don't fucking
Only
remember.
So if you
64
just, like, take
collisions?
this
You
colour
can
here,
change that.
And dot one there, there, there.
It's just the default
there, and
setting.
there.
You can change it.
As long as you're not losing the shape. That's the
We
sort
have
of
to
stuff
do this in here and one by one or
When are we
something.
gonna hang out IRL,
that
man?
you could improve on.
Only thing
there.
that beats this is when your computer crashes from
Alright,
your
so
code.
pack
Yeah.
it
Not
right
that I
now
am.
if you need it, 'cause
Mm-hmm.
Have qualifications to give advice, but if you're new to it and you want some feedback from me, then there you go. See why?
Oh yeah, that looks gorgeous. Man, I love that walk. He looks like a disco
Literally 8
dude.
minutes ago, you think I just ran for my weight?
Anyway, okay, it doesn't
Awesome.
matter. It doesn't matter. What were we on? We were on the back piece,
No,
right?
honest to
So-
God, Doctor, I thought you did. I really
What
thought
stat
you
would
did.
Dawlish give you?
That was the problem. I really thought you did.
Named after the
so-
legendary
Okay.
I really thought you did.
druid.
Oh, I know why. God damn it. Some do it again. That will be it. Overthinking it.
Stuff, that's it. We're not going to write longer than that. But it would then have some stats on it.
Well,
So the cloaks are all
when
going to
you
be
don't tell me
light.
I
Right,
can
got
come on
the-
stage before I cancel the flight,
Running
that's fucking
smoothly.
I guess it would be.
He's like,
Alright,
I
None.
remember that
Put
happened
all
to
that
me.
around.
Well, that's not
I
good.
know, man.
These,
I
these
wish
should all
it
be a
wasn't
bit.
the way it
So it was,
I think.
it was close to that.
Just a little bit
Let's
of
sort the
time,
image.
Whoops, I totally forgot to have the avatar header, the name, to use the actual avatar
So
name.
wait,
No,
we actually
I'll
do
be
that, so we
Carriax.
pack it in it.
Okay, so.
Jeez, talk about
Right,
being
the history.
egoistical. You can pick any name you want as long as it's Carriax. Oh no, not this again.
Okay.
3, 6, 9. How the hell? Oh, because I'm actually. Okay, yep, that makes sense.
So
That explains why I
Sarah,
went to 9.
I gave some good words, but I'm trying to think of how it would make a whole title.
I mean, it feels like
Yeah,
cosmetic
sweet.
energy.
And
Virgin
then we want to
Drake
see what
of
happens
the
when we
Night
kill
Fury Hawk,
one
laser
or
beam,
more.
Gillette, the best the man can
Basically.
get.
Let's make it happen. 2 deads.
I think we gotta listen like.
They're all dead. So I should have 0.
I mean, let's get it going.
Do have 0. Excellent. So that's working the way I wanted it to.
Everybody drink some beer, smoke some dope. Let's fucking go. Here we go.
Skeletons.
Alright, so we got the history.
Not flying Pathfinder.
This shit will make you want to fucking take your own stuff. This shit makes me want to rob my own house.
Maybe, hang on. This will be called the Drake.
Mommy.
Gillette.
We want spells actually. Spells.
He will kill you over $10. Alright? This man literally will kill you over $10. You think you don't give a fuck? You think you don't give a
Woven.
fuck? This motherfucker
Steel.
will literally kill you for $10. That's how much he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's a great one. So it'd be one that would
I mean,
give
honestly,
defense
What
or
kind of
some shit.
animation is that? sure.
Yo, listen to Panopticon.
Ó,
Black metal. Black.
essa sombra aqui.
Anyway, we'll just
É
put that in.
tipo essa imagem, ó, tá vendo lá?
Oh, I
Gostou?
really like can't
Muito
recover
bom.
it.
Ó, aqui dá
Like,
pra
it's
ajustar o
just
offset.
right shit.
Aquela tá ficando mais pra lá, mais longe, aqui mais perto. E aqui é o quanto ela tá desfocada, tá vendo?
Sim.
E assim fica assim, aqui tá board.
Nossa.
Let's just name
Perfeito.
them after people instead.
O que você achou, não?
Carter, you're getting one.
Ai, ele não tem noção das unhas dele, né?
Não.
And Sarah,
Nossa.
is there a
Sabe que
is
tem
there a way
várias
to
machucadas,
write your
tudo
name in
de
another
unha.
way, or is that the way?
O que você achou disso?
Esse Lion tá lindo, hein?
Que ver, deixa eu pegar um outro formato, que esse não tá tão legal porque ele não tá...
The ancient scholar.
Deixa eu pegar uma outra figura com transparência.
I'm gonna do is making disco tiles be discrete.
Vai tirar aquele gato
You're
dali?
telling me I'm gonna have to
Vou
play
pôr outro, mano.
beta game without any disco tiles. That is just unacceptable.
É, que animal?
Eu mesmo.
No outro.
É o animal mais bonito que tem esse de gato.
Não, deixa eu... O outro eu falei. A vaca? Não.
Não.
Fontes.
Cloak of the Apprentice. That's what we'll do for you, Process, with your
Lobo.
newly trying to learn pixel art.
When's your estimated release now? Everyone keeps asking me that, so I feel good when I can pawn that question onto someone else.
É lobo
Huh?
que eles têm.
When are you gonna release it? I'm joking. I don't have a problem.
Não, preto e branco.
Absolutely
Cape
no
of due
question. It's
process.
my fault for not knowing.
Transparente.
ASAP. Oh, I've never heard that before.
Qual?
Who has ever said that?
Aí não tem nenhum bom.
Esse.
The end of the word.
Pode ser.
Oh, named
That's a management answer. Hell yeah.
after
I'm
the
gifted
infamous.
for management. How you doing, Krubian? It's good to see you.
What was I gonna say?
I'm even allowing spaghetti and duplicate code at the moment. Oh yes.
Parece você, Bebinho.
Join the dark side.
Mas esse daqui não é um gato. É uma raposa, mãe.
É que o meu gato ele tá incorporado 7
Doing
animais.
good. How's things with you?
Na mesma
Things are
espécie.
excellent, thank you. Going away for the weekend
Ai,
tonight.
que gostoso
right,
esse
so
Looking forward to it. It's been pretty hectic
Dorless
recently,
has been named.
so
Roger needs to
Ele
be
gosta,
right?
né?
I'm pretty happy. It's named spaghetti or duplicate. That's
Quem
just
que tá
wrong.
assistindo?
Would it-
Hã?
Quem que tá assistindo agora?
That's so
Não
many
sei.
notes.
Deixa eu ver.
I can't think of another name for cape other than cape, cloak, drape.
Não sei.
So,
Onde que eu vou pôr essa
Hang on,
figura,
Roger was
mãe?
a shaman, right?
Ah, agora me
Gown?
lembrei.
I know gown can often be like a chest thing as well, wouldn't
We
it?
got our little kamikaze dudes.
But I guess it's like a it's
They're
same
all
as like
gone.
robe, isn't it? It's more of a
It's pretty awesome. Is he still alive? Might be. Yeah, he is.
Pronto,
Awesome.
deixa eu pôr,
Pretty
tenta
cool. I mean,
pôr.
that was easier than I thought it would be. So
Aquela
I'm pretty happy with
figura.
that.
we'll just call it Roger's revival.
Porque aquela figura tem transparência, entendeu?
Kami God Kazi Wind.
Em mais
Pretty cool. I
lugares.
feel like I've known that before, but I can't.
Ele é
remember.
um formato
But
que é
it's
tudo
a
transparente.
pretty badass name for it.
Ó, então quando eu ponho aqui, ó, olha o que vai
Now
acontecer
on
quando eu
top
puser
of these,
transparência.
we have critters.
Ó,
die.net.
tá vendo?
Que
Awesome, yeah,
legal.
those two good wins.
Você achou legal?
Opinions carrying over in probability function.
Dá pra pôr uma coisa colorida,
Aqui a gente percebe mais o efeito, né?
porque é todo transparente, né? Ó,
I would call them.
aqui tem uma
Magic
porta,
And then we're going to do a
dá
Apollo
pra
eye
fazer
as well.
blur. Dá pra fazer grayscale, dá pra inverter.
It's going to be called Apollo's Eye.
Dá pra fazer opacidade. O que você tá achando?
Muito legal, tá divertido.
Deixar mais colorido.
Real translation, come on.
Deixar mais...
Google Translate is saying that. That can't be right.
After the architecture.
mais acinzentado.
Oh man, now I've got to test my spelling.
That sounds like South Park.
It's architect with a H, right? I think it is.
Magic Barrel, yeah.
Gostou? Não, ficou bonitinho.
It's a barrel full of explosives, and they were summoned by magic, so...
Deixa eu ver se ele fica lá.
Explosive barrel.
Ó.
Bakuhatsu.
Interessante que se a pessoa também tiver um animal de estimação e ela quiser uma foto com o animal,
Anyway,
tem
it's
que
just a
retorno.
sidetracky thing, so let's not worry about that for now. Well, so we've got two awesome things done.
Porque
Take a very short break, and then we're gonna
Não, me
head
deu uma
over
queda
to something
brutal
else.
de energia, não sei porquê. Você dorme obsidiano? Sério? Não. Não sei. Não sei o que aconteceu. Parece que fez.
Oh, process, let's have a look. I'm gonna say no.
O que você achou daquilo ali?
And the reason is...
Nossa, tô impressionado.
Oh, these bits you've done well on, I think. To make it less harsh, maybe.
Sai, Bilbo. Ai,
But
deixa eu ver o que aconteceu comigo agora.
the darker colours on the outside and it's lighter in the middle. You think of how depth and darkness works. It gets darker the further in you are, right? So I don't know, maybe someone else who does pixely stuff with more know-how can say, but for me I feel like it could be like this if you were going to have like some glowiness inside. It could... Try copying it into another document and then try doing it the other way around and see what you think. Do it dark going out. Okay, so now we've got boots. Bloody boots. And the boots were the worst to draw. We hated the boots. So we're gonna go super simple here.
So the server's gonna need just one buffer to hold. It's gonna need its own buffer just to hold a connector.
That'll do.
Not yet.
Okay, they're all gonna
over
be
the fact
common,
that LeBron left,
cheap things. I hate
So
the
that's all.
boots. I don't want to include the boots anymore, but it's too late.
but I'm definitely gonna watch the Lakers more now. Well,
Yeah, that's the general sort of vibe of it, I think, which is similar to like what this one is meant to be for me. Where were we? Okay, let's just get these done quickly. I'm sick of doing this now. At least we'll have
Vou fazer
items
uma
that we
banana
can
com
use.
canela.
A few of them.
Ficou legal aquilo, né? Muito bom, excelente. Produto de primeira. Como diz, pena que a gente não estava sabendo cobrar.
He left. He left. He went to another team on his own accord, but not
dexterity
in a negative way.
and agility. Great. They're not even stats, but it's done.
Bakuhatsu is indeed an explosion. I'll be learning that in 2 levels time, which I could have been at long ago. Really slacking / not being good at time management. We learn as a group this way. Yeah, now we learn new things.
Sandals?
Right, I think I'm gonna work on the website a little bit because that needs to be finished. Would whoever's in chat be so kind to click the link I'm gonna post and tell me how long it takes to load / how long you normally expect a website to load?
Or yeah, we have to read in the packet.
Because I'm concerned that load times are, as you can see on my screen here, pretty awful. Very awful, rather.
What are you on about, Naj? Who are you trying to insult? And on what grounds?
That's unacceptable. That's like 10 seconds or something, which is 100 years in internet time. Four seconds and I see it loading things in. That is pretty bad as well. Cooler loaded pretty quick to you, that's good. 4 seconds I'd be like borderline acceptable, but it's pretty bad still. I think the issue is this GIF is completely unoptimized. It's not a video file, but looking at the like requirements to embed a video in the background, that seems pretty hefty. But I suspect the GIF is a bit too big. Let me have a look actually, see how big it is. Note that most sites load within a second, or at least start showing things within a second, and lets other things load in async. That way it feels more responsive to the user. In Chrome I'm getting like 20 seconds. Yeah, that's not cool. Yeah, I agree with you, Karax. I don't know. I would hope that this was designed to load in, as you can see things. 7.4 megabytes. Yeah, it's these GIFs that are just uncompressed.
We need like a peak packet.
Which is, I'm not. This is just. Is that all GIFs? Yeah, I mean I didn't plan on keeping this isn't ready. I just needed to put in like a background picture. So I just did whatever I had handy. So it's not web optimized in any sense. But yeah, are you aware of a format that I could use instead? Like, I know people tend to use, is it MP4 or something?
Into their buffer.
Can you make it backgrounds instead of particles blow in via CSS if you really want to? That would be interesting. Yeah, MP4 is HTML5 friendly. Is it as it's not as easy as just embedding a GIF in the background, though, is it? That's what I'm worried about. And hey, just because something is slightly harder doesn't mean I shouldn't do it. I'm just, it's why I haven't done it yet, perhaps. So yeah, right. So this background is 4.4 megabytes. It'll be the biggest culprit.
12 hours and nothing's been done. No, I really am changing.
I want to blame the host a little bit, though. I wonder if there's a way that I can just test it.
Because
it's not bad, it's like an image tag has implemented properties. Well,
I actually
100% not supporting HTML. Like, it won't be in the browser.
I don't know if
do
it's
something
it's generic.
new.
Use like WebRTC. Put it this way, it's going to be a lot harder for multiplayer.
Like that.
Now, the single player in the browser can still be possible, but unless I do a bunch of
I'm not too sure.
so
I think this does look better.
not supporting
I think just this grey is quite pale.
It'll be Windows, Linux, Mac.
And Atom. Your other option is to have a background there that is like a dark color on there, and then when the GIF or whatever you get is ready, async, put that in. Yeah, I was thinking that as well. And maybe that's like regardless the best thing to do, because I don't want anything. I want really the logo and the call to actions have to load in like ASAP. They're pretty critical. I'd like the background to come in quickly, but it's not as critical. you'd get the see within 1 second on that way. Yeah, and I mean, if it takes 1 second to load that, and then another second to load the background, then you know it'll take you a little bit of time to process what you're actually looking at here. So that's a thing.
Nothing's good for Hyena. Hyena, that's
kicks.
like who you are.
Yes, steel kicks.
This Resident Sleepers damn game. Well, we'll be cross-platform.
Do it in 3 stages, color, background, and yeah, I could just have like a picture of the background, and then animate it.
All that plus HTML5.
Foot
but
protection.
HTML5 uses WebSockets, which is basically a layer over TCP.
You could say Game Crazy, nothing specific to Lushari, just more. I haven't used Unity for a long time, so I'm trying to get back into it.
We assume everyone has unlimited data.
So that's why this is a lot different, because there's a lot of things that
no, there's more than that. I shouldn't just mess with like that.
I just prefer
so,
UDP.
the main header
There is a lot of
has the
things
background. Sites these days are absurdly large, as are like photos and stuff, and it doesn't. They can't really define why they are so large. I think it's just bloat.
Stuff like that, the direction you're
Agora. Oi? Não.
Okay, so we should have something else for mobile. So this is the main header, body landing, and mobile landing. So we have more options for that.
Like in snapshots, depending on what we take a different snapshot depending on.
It just gets worse. It needs more and more privacy. Well, you maybe have some insight to Karax. Is there any good reason for it, or is it all just? Is it just stupid?
Based on the snapshots,
the reason is pretty dumb. Yes, okay. I figured like usually things aren't so black and white. There's usually a good reason if you just look for it.
I wanted to say it,
I guess not.
so I said it, but I could have kept going with it seriously. But yeah, basically that is Zenris.
I know. So this is the banner. It's all them frameworks and such. Great for quickly doing things, not so great in terms of space usage. So they like import a bunch of stuff that they don't need.
Don't have to worry about playing with Mac.
Bandwidth is cheaper, computers faster, so sites can argue to push more down if it improves the experience. I guess it makes sense. Welcome back, Water Retard. So the footer, or is it call to action? It's the call to action bit that does that, right? Just confirm. Yeah.
Alright, so
you wrote the word this week.
No,
just
but
obviously. 11 versus 11, no?
Apple, you know, people from, like, on the App Store, these are the only ones that buy like, you know, mobile apps. You know what I mean? iOS is fucking beat on the market. Android has 97, but iOS makes fucking 500.
What you working on, dude? I just switched over to website stuff. I finished the probability function for it to work, and I also made it so that minions carry over.
So what we need to do, we're actually getting back to code.
Magic barrels filled with cocaine, of course.
Make
That sounds like a good business plan, to be honest.
Item scriptable object. And place
the newest
anything here.
Oh shit, this is where we could find a problem.
Apparently they said there's a software update. No bullshit, you're not gonna software update anything, dude. Fucking thing runs really
How does this?
They put the new i19 processor in or some shit, like, you fucking idiots. And this thing, I think this
Rapper Style 4.
Oh shit.
Who knows?
Set up this database.
On, refreshing, play on, wait, refreshing.
That's all it takes, Jody. 1 monster each.
So we need for either
Oh gosh.
7,
Rapper
3,
Style 4.
6 versus 6 now.
then
We did have a mild upper
But
hand.
it's done.
Jody's just taking a hit. Treasure Valley Girl took a hit. Jody's down and out.
Mobile
We
Rapper
tried to
Style
come
4
in to
does
try to
that.
save the day.
Otherwise,
Oh gosh, it turned to
transparent.
2 versus 5 very quickly.
Oh, so it's transparent because.
Valley Girl and Walker tried the
Okay, I
last
see.
remaining
So if we
Canadians.
did this, would it remove?
Treasure Valley goes down. It's only one big trout now. Plus is Paul.
Would it? It would then remove
Very strong.
the GIF we see in the background.
We expect that too much. It's good. Go, baby! That was difficult to watch. But I thought you did. So Joe, do you got a little tiny elephant? Because
Just
you
to make sure,
subscribe.
I'm suspecting actually that this bit isn't loading anything new.
You gotta
the
kind of be
background
told
is
it's
just the
an
background of
elephant
the whole
so that you
page,
can
and
see
then
it's
all
an
this stuff
elephant.
just has a color
Other
on
than
top
that,
of the
it's
background. I just want to make sure I'm understanding that right. It doesn't look like I am.
The thing is though, Nalaj, technically,
Unless I need to go into the
on each
incognito
time
again.
an enemy and a adventurer come together, there
Although
is
this
a
looks better.
60% success chance
Yeah,
for
it's
the
loading that 4
adventurer
meg
to
thing in the background.
damage the
It's not acceptable.
I'm trying to think where would
Well,
we
that
set
does look
our-
right.
Yeah.
And then here, yeah, okay,
Our
cool.
list.
So I don't need to worry about the call to action bit. That's cool. It's fine. Alright,
It could
panic.
be
Isso,
from the inventory
beautiful.
manager, but it's not just the
Como
inventory
fosse
manager,
cremoso,
it's
super
our
saturado.
adventure
Não, não é.
as well.
Yeah, probably.
Deixa eu
So
ver.
I'm thinking that we would end up having
Eu não vou
like
comer
a,
isso, né?
200k for a background image.
just like an item database thing with some functions where we can
You mean
query
out
it.
of one I have, or just
That would
Nossa.
probably be
Just
nicer,
your side?
wouldn't it?
Uma colher de sopa tem 60% das gorduras saturadas do dia.
Googling.
Então, a saturada
I don't
boa.
know.
A melhor.
Não, saturada horrível.
Da saturada da melhor qualidade, que é a óleo
I
de
saw
coco que tem ácido láureo.
there was
Que
like
cura
a
um monte de
video
doença.
about
De onde tu pegou
The
isso?
elephant is
Eu comprei.
multi-meaning.
Não quer também
I
daqui?
possess an
Não
elephant
quero,
see
faz
that.
mal.
Here's my
Yes,
little
I'm going
elephant.
to,
because I put some.
when you go into a game's website, you kind
This
of
guy
expect
upset me
a
one
little
day
bit of
in another person's
media
channel.
stuff. I'm not putting
where-
any sound in it, right? That would be annoying.
He.
So
I'd like
yeah.
to think he was joking, but he really convinced me that he wasn't. He implied that he was wealthy and that he's run out of presents that he can give his parents. His mum, she really likes elephants, so he might try and buy her an elephant.
Okay.
And I was like, right. I thought he was joking, and then I questioned him, and he seemed legit.
Example? Cool.
And I was just like, well,
we've
you know,
got-
it's
oh,
like
this is quite
quite
a
endangered and
fleshy
stuff,
button.
right? And
Fleshy example. I want this to be like
you know,
super
why?
simple.
Where are you gonna get one from? Oh, I can just pay someone and they'll get one for me. I was like, yeah, but they kind of
So I need to figure out
they'll just
why.
steal one from the wild. And elephants are notorious for being
Optionally
quite
JavaScript. Okay, we do- we just
capable
skip step
animals
this.
who
I need,
display
well,
emotions
first of
and
all, I
have
need
like
to convert this
family
into
bonds.
I might,
who
I'll
mourn
probably end up
deaths and
recording
stuff.
a new.
So kidnapping
for the background, 'cause
elephants
I
just so
probably
you can
get
give your
away
mum
with
a birthday
having-
present doesn't sound like
It's
a
hard to see
a
with
nice thing
loops,
to
but I
do.
could probably get away with not that long, but
So that
how long?
resulted in me then.
Anyway, gift to.
I'm number one in the
I like to try and be someone who, if I say something, I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I try and reinforce
like
my
that.
belief. So I gave some money towards a beautiful elephant.
I didn't mean to play with ground I was so going to go do the shooting metal.
The upkeep cost.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Salutre.
Or like what?
Output MP4.
So
Convert.
I do have an Apollo book, indeed I do, Wobbly. Or TVG. It was received today.
12 seconds.
The mailman,
Down by
when he delivered it, he
92%.
didn't just put it
That
through
is,
letterbox. He
that
knocked
is
the door and
pretty
then
good.
went down on one knee and just held it out. And didn't dare look at me.
Compressing it. but
I think he knew he was delivering something of great significance.
Let's just get this over here.
Anyway, so that's where the elephant thing started, and then also we quite like Africa by Toto. It's a bit of an anthem for the stream, which in Africa, elephants, it all works. And then we
You just
also
wanted
have
to trigger that
the
thing.
demand of pets coming to an honest adventure.
Even if you
So
put the star together with the one, I
there's
don't
the
think it would trigger.
potential of our
And they draw the line.
characters being able to earn little pets, and the elephant is one of those.
Reference.
So it's not completely random. There's some meanings, right?
Okay.
I typed watch a few messages back.
Though
and I was
do
like, wait,
please
oh,
remember.
because you thought it would trigger. No,
It's,
I think
not this
I
year.
think it has to be. Yeah, I guess space is the limit.
Yeah, well, Nalaj, exactly. It sounded like such bullshit, but
what boob won't work. But
at the way this guy was talking about it,
still be on that cooldown.
he sounded
Yeah, so
like
that's the space, I guess, breaks the...
he was serious as well. Now, Munch, don't you dare. Don't you dare. False. Spreading false.
Other people use stuff like
just
foo
pure
and bar
false.
for their test variables. I inevitably go to boob.
Okay, let's go back to Unity. We're gonna make a little item database. This is gonna have a list then of type scriptable object item.
Krug, do you know what these things are? Moz linear gradient, WebKit linear gradient, MS linear gradient, and linear gradient. I have no idea what they are. Why is there 4 of these?
Only purely because this is the name of the class, and so we're probably going to be having a reference to this that we call item database, and then it'll be item database dot item database.
I don't know what they are.
So maybe we should just
my test variables are pretty lame. These things like PMP.
Call it.
Yeah, I know. I do that as well when I'm scripting.
So
whenever
then in our
color gradient, like going from one sheet to another, to
we
color
would need to create
I'm with you on that. I just wonder why there's
a game object to
4
attach this to.
lines. Anyway, it's not important. Right.
This
so
is going to have
uploaded
our
the
item
file
database on it. It's going to have a list, and we can just go to our
Add the
items.
HTML. Okay, so that goes.
We can add them in. The downside is we need to duplicate this.
Just in the.
So where we've got this inspector here, we need to actually go to this and lock it, and then we need to select all of
Future
these.
pass proofing with browsers, make sure
like
everyone sees the
this.
same.
Yeah, you can. Okay.
Stupid
Do
future
we want the
pass.
armor first? No.
I guess that makes sense.
We're going to do it in the order that they should be in. So I
that
think
is my video, and then we don't want overlay text.
we did the collectibles first. Drag those in. And we did the
Source images.
consumables. Then we did the materials. Then we did the weapons. And then we did the armors. We go, 40 items of joy.
I think how I can get rid of this. Maybe.
It's never finished, only put down. That sounds like a sick puppy. Yeah, but Jody, those people are idle here throughout the day for the last 2 weeks. Well, it still looks pretty good, dude. Just be happy. In terms of the structure of it, you could perhaps say like the angle of the eyes is a bit harsh.
10 FPS, that's pretty shocking. Why is it going so low? That certainly feels like it's doing something big.
Just being critical. To help you.
It's also pretty broken.
Look, Apollo, your little book is on the Ludendary homepage. Look at it.
I've been awake for less than 2 hours, but already want to go back to bed.
And the elephant, mate.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, so now we're doing the video, and so that's the video.
Maybe I should just put a big message up on the screen so that it shows it up there, saying vote for a certain theme. So one of these.
That's not the background, mister. Anyways,
Especially someone said which one, like you are the boss, they didn't like.
Still.
So if I put massive across my screen, vote for you are final boss. When everyone goes to the page, it'll just say that here.
For sure, knowing that what we're doing is right.
Ah, I remember this guy. This guy did.
Okay. I can post a code example on Discord maybe?
This
I mean,
one
if it's
said
no, if
it's
no trouble at your end,
something
then
from accounting.
I would do it eternally.
I'm pretty sure it's his game. Let's double check. Yes, Jeff from accounting. It was a brilliant game. Really, really well made game. Oh, Alex Hicks assassinated. Nalas, you don't hold a grudge. That's what I like about you.
I don't think Nogri, this isn't
I
compiling.
have
right
variadic
now, but I don't know if
templates
you've
in
seen them.
Kaifu. No.
Alright, so now that we've got those items,
Not even sure what the syntax should look like.
But the fucking
we
thing
need
is-
to.
I
How am I meant
forgot to record a lot of the
click
information.
on that, Merlin?
I think we talked about this at one point.
What do you?
There was a question
What am I meant
of
to
should
do
it
with
just be
that? Hello?
modeled using arrays.
I assume it's your little Star Wars gift.
No, but Nogri would.
Hello there.
So that's all.